Thank you, thank you, thank you. Can you hear me okay?
I can, and look what I have, guys. Eric, I don't know if you saw the products, right? Is that exciting, guys?
Yeah, we
Exciting, right?
and I want you to know that this is just the beginning, because once we develop the website and develop the product line, we will have every product holistic that's necessary to deal with heart disease specifically, to deal with cancer specifically, to deal with diabetes specifically, to deal with MS specifically, lupus specifically, leukemia specifically. In other words, there's not going to be one condition on this planet that we have ever dealt with from a medical perspective that we will not be able to reverse. What does that mean? That means that we are one-stop shop. There is no other place for anyone to go. When you have all the answers, when you have the results, when you have the testimonies, where's there else to go? It's the same thing that happened when Jesus told the disciples, if you eat of my flesh and you drink of my blood, ye shall have eternal life. Well, that's what you guys have been doing. When you eat of my flesh, you're consuming my words. The words that I'm speaking to you, the words that Melissa is sharing with you. Melissa is a great student. She's picking this up like a sponge. You know, as I'm listening to her, I'm hearing a reflection of the things that I say. And so the fact that we have a one-stop shop, and the fact that you can actually go to one place and address all your issues, this is amazing for the world. So this isn't just some fad that's just happening for the time being. No, this is forever. This is something now that a lot of people don't know. That's why we're setting it at a million, but it's going to be far more than a million, especially once you start to connect to the rest of the world. Everyone from Africa, from Brazil, from all around the coast is going to want to be a part of this. So what are we doing? We are setting a new precedent on the planet, something that has never happened before. The reason we talk about 144,000, and I think some of you may understand where that 144,000 comes from. That 144,000 is a critical mass of people that will instantly cause a shift around the world, meaning that this 144,000 people doing everything alike will actually create a conscious shift that will cause people to start doing the same thing, just because this 144,000 represents one mind, but it's a mind that has been amplified. When you amplify that mind, you start to send a signal, because thoughts are impulses. You start to send a signal across the world, and people start changing without them even trying to, or even knowing why they're changing. And this is based upon what's called the 100 monkey syndrome. I don't know if you ever heard of the 100 monkey syndrome. Well, the 100 monkey syndrome has to do with the fact that there was these monkeys on this island, and they was eating their food a certain way. And once the 100th monkey started eating the food the same way as the other 99, all of a sudden, monkeys on other islands started to eat it the same way, even though they had not been trained, even though they had not been shown, they had automatically started eating it a certain way. That's why they call it the 100 monkey syndrome, because that was the critical mass needed to affect the monkeys all over the other islands. And so when you talk about 144,000, that's minimum. We're going to see far more than that coming through here. But once we reach 144,000, the world cannot do anything but change in that moment, almost instantly. You know, we understand the spontaneous remission, and we understand instant healing. But what about when you reach 144,000, as the revelation explains to you? These are people that are doing things the right way. These are people that are doing things according to science, according to scripture, according to prophecy. It doesn't matter if you're dealing with Buddhism, Hinduism. No, once you start understanding the science of how life works and how your body works, then that's when you start to move into spirituality. You start to become the spirit person, the spirit man and the spirit woman. You start to ascend above religion itself. Religion is only a temporary place to keep you until you become enlightened. Well, what are we doing with this process? We're raising you to such a high vibration, to such a high level of consciousness, that we become face to face with the Father. And we start to deal with them from a holistic perspective. Like right now, there are some of you that are actually on the cleanse as we speak. And I'm going to have some of you chime in once I finish to give your experience, whether you're in day 1, day 5, day 6. But people right now on this call are actually in the process, because guess what? They didn't want to wait. And I don't blame you, because this is life. Now you have a chance to go into a new year with a new body, not like some of those old, New Year's resolutions that we start off and we never make it through it. No, this is real. This isn't a New Year revolution. This is a lifetime revolution. And you want a resolution. Well, it's a revolution. It's a health revolution also. But at the same time, this is now where we get the opportunity to reverse degeneration. We want to reverse degeneration. What people are finding out on the bioscan, and I just want to say we had a great time in Atlanta, and I know Larice is on here, so I'm gonna say, hey, hi to you, Larice, because we had a great time down there, and I know Larice got very emotional because when she sat down for that scan, she felt something that she hadn't felt in a long time, which was hope. She had hope, and that's what this is all about, is giving our people hope. Up until now, we didn't have a lot of hope. We watched as our loved ones deteriorated in the hospitals with all of these tubes down their throat, in their body, feeding tubes. That is not the way to go. In fact, who wants to go? We don't have to go that way anymore. Once we start to accept everything that's going on out there, because this is created by God. When Melissa and I and Sharon and all us, when we came together, it seemed like a fluke, because all of a sudden we was merged in, we was accepted, we was a family, we was on stage, we was talking, and it just happened so fast. That's how you know God is in it. Only time things are difficult is when it's not supposed to go in a certain direction, or when your subconscious program is still locked into the old way of life. We have to renew our minds on a deeper level. We have to get rid of the old programs. We have to get rid of the mental and emotional baggage, because that's taking us down. And so when you detox, it's not just about getting the physical toxins out of your body. It's also about getting the mental and emotional toxins out. The negative thinking, the negative emotions, all of that actually weakens your immune system. So it's not just the food that's making you sick. Sometimes it's what's eating you. And so that's why it's important to begin to start a detox process, and you make it consistent every year. Don't stop detoxing ever. I'm back in the green in all of my categories. My heart is working strong like it was when I was in my 20s. My brain is working strong like it was in my 20s. My liver, my kidneys, my nutritional profile, vitamins and minerals, everything's in place, because I'm able to see where I'm at in real time. See, the problem before and until now is that we didn't have the ability to see where we are on the disease progression until the crisis showed up. Who wants to wait until the crisis show up? Who wants to sit in the ER for 14 hours waiting for them to just give us drugs and medication? Because they're not going to find anything, because the problem is holistic. You can't take care of a dietary issue with medication. It's just not possible. But at the same time, you have to be willing to make some sacrifices. Your success is in direct proportion to what you're willing to sacrifice. If you're not willing to make any sacrifices, then this is not for you. This process is not for you. Wakanda is not for you. So don't waste our time and don't waste your money. If you really want change, we are about change. We don't need any negativity in this organization. We need you to be as patient as possible. We need you to be understanding as possible. We need you to be accepting of what we're doing and the time it takes for us to do it, because once it's in place, nobody can stop us. Not the government, not the politicians, nobody. Because guess what? They're going to start seeking us as well. The politicians, the government, the stars, the celebrities, the singers, everyone's coming to us. And I'm already working with what's her name? Jennifer Hudson. So Jennifer Hudson, I'm working with her drummer. His name is Ranier. So we're getting closer and closer to the celebrities. And once we connect with them and we get them on this process and program, we get them on this agenda, then they will use their influence to speak to the world to let them know what we're doing. And that means that whoever needs to go through this process has to go through you, whether it be your family, whether it be your friends. That means that we're locking this thing to where you have to go through. It says, no one comes on to the Father except through the Son. We have to create that portal through which people can get to the Father in a real way. But in order to do that, guess what? You have to become a living sacrifice, which is your reasonable service. So be not conformed to this world, but be transformed by what? Renewing of your mind. Which mind are they talking about? They're not talking about the conscious mind. They're talking about your subconscious mind. When it says, let this mind be in you, which was also in Christ Jesus, they're not talking about the conscious mind. They're talking about the subconscious mind. You have that mind as well as Christ Jesus has. But that's the same mind you have to renew, because that's where all the negative baggage is. That's where all the negative programming is, all of your upbringing. That's what's perpetuating the diseases in the bloodline. We're about reversing the bloodline curses, because now we're clear that we were under a curse. We were under a curse. Whoever the Son sets free is free indeed. We're freed from that, to the point where we're no longer going to be borrowers. Guess what? We're going to be loaners. That's what it says. You're no longer going to be a borrower. You're going to be a lender. You're not going to build houses and somebody else inhabit them. You're going to build houses and you're going to inhabit them. You're not going to be dealing with wasting diseases, blight, inflammation, and a sore botch that cannot be healed. Yeah, diabetes is actually in the Bible. Did you know that? It talks about it as a sore botch that cannot be healed. And we know when people are dealing with amputations, it's a sore that could not be healed. It's just that back then, the Bible didn't call it diabetes. That's what we learned to call it now, but that's exactly what they were describing. But when they described it, it was on the side of the curses. It wasn't on the side of the blessings. Revelations 22, 2. Revelation 2:2 says, the leaves of the tree shall be for the healing of the nation. The leaves of the tree shall be for the healing of the nation. Why did it say that in Revelation? Because that's the end game. That's how we're going to correct the damage that has been done, because the leaves of the tree are herbs. The leaves of the tree are plants. What are we dealing with now? We're dealing with plant medicine. Cannabis is plants. That's plant medicine. The herbs, the 3 powders and the 3 superfoods and the supplements that we have is all plants. Everything is plants. So we're about to create a whole system of plant medicine that should never have been taken off the table by the Rockefellers back in the early 1900s. Yep, that's exactly what happened. The Rockefellers took natural medicine off the table and they used their political influence to put their curriculums into the medical schools for the sake of profit. So the system that we were all born into was a corrupt system based upon profit. And because of that, we're watching our loved ones go down the drain. Now, I'm not saying that the medical doctors are bad people or even evil people. They're in the same system. They had hearts of helping and saving people, just as I had when I went into emergency medicine. But what I discovered is that dealing with emergencies, dealing with crisis, I was never gonna get a person to where they needed to be. Because if I saved their life, if I got a pulse back, got them to the hospital, got them stabilized, they was admitted for a few days. When they got back out of the hospital, what do you think they're gonna do? They're gonna go straight back to what caused them to go to the hospital in the first place. So we're not making any ground. We're not covering any ground with that situation. So when I figured that out, I realized, you know what? I need to come out of emergency medicine because it's not helping us. It's not working for us. And we're just caught in a loop. We're imprisoned in this system and we can't get out. But guess what? The doors have been opened. The doors have been opened to become free from that whole healthcare system. You don't need healthcare the way we think you do. We're only asking for healthcare insurance so that we can pay them to practice on us. But unfortunately, what we're learning now is that the first leading cause of death in America is heart disease. The second is cancer. But many of us did not know that the third leading cause of death in America is a term called iatrogenic, which means medical error and medical treatment. Yep. That's the third leading cause of death in America. So you're more likely to die from going to see your medical doctor than a drive-by shooting in your worst neighborhood in wherever city you live in. But when we turn on the news, what happens? We're not hearing about the deaths that happened in the hospital. We're hearing about the deaths in the Black neighborhood. They're creating narratives because guess what? They control the media. The Rockefellers and the families with the money that built up the pharmaceutical industry, they got us addicted to these medications. They got us feeding off the FDA requirements and making us think that we're doing something right. No, we're not, because guess what? When you scan, you're noticing that you have created a list of things in your body that are moving towards the crisis and taking you closer to death. Now, here's the interesting part. Because we're not sick, we don't think that there's anything wrong going in our body. But that's the problem, is that for some reason, as you're degenerating and moving closer to degeneration, you're not going to be sick during that process. You're going to be well. You may not be feeling your best. You may have a few pains here, a few aches here, but nonetheless, you're still progressing towards the crisis. You're either doing something every day to live or you're moving towards death. There is no in between. You're either degenerating or you're regenerating. Most of us are on the degeneration path. That's the program that's playing on our subconscious mind, is degeneration. We have to break the addiction to animal protein, because that's all it is right now.
Let's start off with education.
We don't really like animals like that as far as to eat. We love animals just like we love our dogs, we love our cats. We love animals. If you got to know animals and you got to know their personality, you'll realize that they are some very powerful and beautiful creatures. And to be eating them, you cannot really receive the benefits of having a relationship with an animal, because guess what? If thoughts, animals don't talk. So their communication is mental. Their communication is on a whole nother level. And believe it or not, they can communicate with you. But if they fear you, they ain't trying to tell you nothing. They ain't trying to tell you to go the other direction like they did when they had that tsunami and over 200,000 people were killed in a tsunami back in 2005. I don't know if some of you remember that, when a tsunami hit, over 200, that's what it read on the headlines, over 200,000 people dead in this tsunami. That means there was an earthquake up under the ocean, and it caused a big wall of water to come in inland. And many people, well, 200,000 plus, was not aware that this tsunami was coming. But guess what? In that same newspaper, back in 2005, I read at the bottom, it was a little small article. It said, no wildlife harmed in that whole tsunami. No wildlife harmed. How did 200,000 people get taken out and not one animal was killed? Think about it. That's because they're not fallen creatures. We are. And until we get back to where we need to be, we're going to always be in harm's way. So for you guys, I know you're excited about doing this process. We've scanned a lot of people, and we're working on products. We're working on packages. We're working on regimens and getting them out to you. So I'm just asking you, be patient with us. Don't be mad at us if we ain't getting to you fast enough. We're working 24/7. I was supposed to meet up with Melissa this morning. Man, I was knocked out. I was asleep. You know, Melissa worked me like a Hebrew slave, but that's okay. I don't have a problem with that. You know, we all used to be Hebrew slaves. But the point of it is that I'm ready for whatever I need. I'm ready for the intensity. I'm ready for the rigor, because this is what I committed my life to. It's to helping you, just as I've helped myself, just as I've saved my mom's life. She's with me today because she listened to me. And you know what? It's hard for a parent to think that the diet that they gave their child was actually harmful to the child. Parents never want to think that they didn't do their best for their child. But I let my mom know, you just didn't have the information that you needed in order to do the best for us. But when it came back around, it was the parent became the child, and the child became the parent. And I had to teach her things that her grandmother never knew. So no, I'm not going to let my mother go down the drain like that. She's not dying from heart disease. She's not dying from cancer. No, she will not. That will never happen. As long as I can help her to see what's going on in her body, help her go through the cleanse and detoxification process, and keep it consistently going on in her life until she's 180. So I challenge everyone to live in your imagination, not in your memory. We live too much in our memory, and we repeat the past. Get out of the past. Let the past go. It's over. As long as you stay there, you're going to repeat it. So now we have to forgive. You have to forgive. You have to get rid of the resentment, the animosity, the strife, whatever you had with anyone. Let it go, because you have committed a worse atrocity against God and you don't even know it. So if you want to be forgiven, you have to forgive. And that's in scripture. And once you understand that, and once you start dealing with your emotional toxins and your mental toxins, now you have the power by thought to begin to create the world that you desire, the body that you desire, the relationships that you desire, the world that you desire, the wealth that you desire, the legacy, the healing that you desire. And now you're an asset to the world. You're an asset to the kingdom. Let me tell you this from the bottom of my heart: the kingdom of heaven will start in Wakanda. The kingdom of heaven on earth will start in Wakanda. I promise you that, because I've already seen it. I know what it looks like, which is what I'm trying to do. I'm helping to bring people into that kingdom. That's a kingdom of no disease, no degeneration, no death, nothing but happiness, health, love, peace, joy, harmony, divine protection, favor, wisdom, understanding, grace, mercy, prosperity, abundance, wealth, and success. Which one of them you don't want? You want all of them. That's why it's so important now to really get in tune with this. Start bringing your people here, because let me tell you something. This is a new road. This is a new route that we've never experienced before. You got to think, if you're 40, 50, or 60, and you never knew your blood type, then you've been eating in the dark all your life and wondering why the things are happening in your body. Like Melissa said, this science isn't new. This has been out for years. In fact, the biofeedback technology has been out since the 1980s. The question is, well, why are we just now finding out about this? Because by design, it was kept from you so that you would not have power to rise above the powers that are over you. Now we have time to rise. And that's what the scripture says. It says that the mountain of God shall be established, and all the hills and the people shall flow into that mountain. Well, what do you think we're doing? We're establishing that mountain right here and right now. And it doesn't matter what's going on around us, what organization. The momentum that we're building is for the sake of fulfilling prophecy in scripture. And so I challenge everyone. You want to detox, whether you do it now or later, but you need to start this journey so that you can get out of the habit of eating not to live, but eating to die. Most of us are eating to die. We want to eat to live. So when you talk about knowing your blood type, you're eating to live. When you talk about detoxing your system, you're eating to live. And that starts to clean the past out. So let's talk about resetting our system, resetting our immune system, resetting our digestive system, resetting our mental capacity, resetting our nutritional profile. In other words, just like a computer, when that computer gets to the point where it's so much on it, it crashes. Same thing with us. We have to go back to default mode. When you go back to default mode, you're clearing all of the baggage out that you accumulated in the state when you was in your darkness. Now we can see. And so the products, we're going to work on getting a lot of products out this week and then this month. So if you haven't gotten your products yet, you've scanned, be patient. It's coming. Regimens are coming. Products are going to be put in place. We're going to be ordering a lot of products for a lot of people, because we have a lot of people that need the products. So once we get everything lined up, once we get everything, because as you can see, Melissa already showed you the packages, and I think they're great packages. This is my first day actually seeing the labels and the packages themselves. They do a great job on putting packaging and products together, but it's not only just going to be pretty, it's gonna be beneficial.
The time we go to bed, what's on our mind? In fact, some of you are thinking about this right now. And let's go to take a quick look at the answer. Hunger and thirst, okay? What we're eating and what we're drinking, we're consumed with that. In fact, when you really analyze it, it's the story of our survival. In fact, we're hardwired to actually have certain type of taste. In fact, whether we're looking for something sweet, something salty, something bitter, our taste buds have really helped to keep us alive, right? Because it's actually allowing us to crave things, but also give us nutrients, okay? And so we're gonna dive into all of that. And so look at the facts. In the United States, do you know that we're spending $2 trillion annually on eating, drinking, and supplements? In fact, we turn around and on our healthcare system, we're now spending over $2.5 trillion annually. When you look at the big four here in the United States, we're dealing with heart disease. We're dealing with cancer, diabetes, obesity. In fact, when you look at annual deaths, look at how many people are dying every year from heart disease, cancer, of course, diabetes, even obesity. And so let's now look at another concept here. One second, one moment. I think my slides are trying to go the opposite way. One moment. Belly fat, okay? This is a really good slide because sometimes when we think about belly fat, we just think about the cosmetic implications of that. We might not always think about what belly fat actually does to the insides, okay? Something is going on real quick. I think I'm having the same issue you were having, Kathy. So like these slides are taking on a life of their own, okay? But with belly fat, it's not just about cosmetic. It's not just about what you look like on the outside, but let's look at this. Do you know that the average person is said to have at least 8 undigested meals going on inside of their gut at any given time? In fact, we meet people every single day, and one of the problems that people have is using the bathroom. I mean, you're supposed to use the bathroom every time you have a meal. That means at least 3 times a day. But we're meeting people that are chronically constipated, and understand that there are consequences of being chronically constipated. And we're going to talk about how you can actually avoid that as well. In fact, inflammation, when we're dealing with a lot of these chronic diseases, they often lead to something called inflammation. They call that the silent killer. 9 out of 10 people are suffering from some sort of discomfort, some level of inflammation on a daily basis. In fact, when we think about the United States, I mean, this is considered, one of the wealthiest countries in the world. We have access to so much. But why is it that we actually rank 37th when it comes to average life expectancy? Do you know that there are actually third world countries that are outliving us? And so we've got to do better. And so what's some of the reasons why we're experiencing all of these issues? If you think about the food that heals us, the food that provides all of the nutrition, it actually has very low profit margins, but despite the fact that it often can be very expensive, right? And sometimes in some communities, there's even food deserts where they don't have access to food that's nutritious. But then when you start thinking about the food that's processed, right? The food that harms us, the food that can actually kill us and contribute to premature death. That's that processed food, but unfortunately it has very high profit margins, low nutrition. In fact, when we think about our bodies, we have living bodies. So how can we live our life eating processed dead food and expect to have a life, where we're actually going to be at our top level of health and vitality? And so we have to make some serious changes, and we can't allow big corporations to dictate what we're eating. We can't allow our pocketbook to dictate the future of our children. We know that here in the United States, our African American and Hispanic kids, are being plagued with diabetes. In fact, if they're born after the year 2000, do you know the statistics now says that 1 out of 2 of them will have diabetes in their lifetime? We can reverse this, and we're going to talk about some of these solutions that we have here at our disposal. And so the first thing we want to do now that we've looked at the problem is we now want to look at the solution, okay? What is the solution to some of these problems that we're plagued with? The first thing that we can look at as a solution is what we brought into the marketplace back in April, and that was the original Flat Belly Lifestyle. In fact, we had an ebook, and in that book, we addressed the most dangerous lectins. Now, for those of you who are new to this line, I know some of you have been on week after week. My question is, have you ever heard of the word lectin? Do you know what that even means? Just be honest. In fact, you can just answer that quietly to yourself. Just ask yourself yes or no. See, lectins are actually forms of protein that are found in almost every food, okay? But there are some of them that are very dangerous. But here's the good news. Depending on your blood type, different lectins are going to react differently. And so some lectins that might be good for your blood type might be harmful for another blood type. So tonight we're going to address lectins that are harmful for your specific blood type. In our first phase, we just took out all the most dangerous lectins, okay? But some of you, based on your blood type, might be able to bring some of those lectins back, like tomatoes. I know some of you love tomatoes. We took those out during our Flat Belly Lifestyle, that first phase. We also talked about nightshades, and we also addressed the importance of gut health, the importance of ensuring that we protect our immunity, we protect our longevity by protecting our gut. In fact, our gut is said to be that second brain, okay? And in fact, 80% of our immune system is housed in our gut. So it's important that we have good gut health if we're gonna have longevity and vitality. And so the results of our first challenge were really exciting. In fact, these were our 3 grand prize winners. In fact, one of them actually won a trip to Jamaica, but we gave out cash, we gave out prizes. And so we're just super excited. But beyond just the winners, there were so many people that emailed us their results who followed our program month after month. In fact, when I look back and saw some of the testimonials of people losing 60 pounds, 40 pounds, that was so exciting. But now it's time to take it to that next level. And we're doing that with our plant-based for your blood type. We're doing that with our Flat Belly Lifestyle 2.0. Because here's the reality. We've all met someone who appeared to be at their prime health. In fact, sometimes it could be a young student in college, sometimes in high school, we hear that tragically, here this kid was, a star basketball player. It seemed to be in physically great shape, okay? But they died prematurely, sometimes from heart disease, that they never suspected, they never knew even existed. And we've all heard the story, of that 40 or 50-year-old, right? Again, someone at the prime of their life, relatively healthy on the outside, but all of a sudden they died prematurely. And so what we're learning and what we're sharing and what we're teaching is in order for us to increase our health and vitality, there are certain things that we must understand. We must understand the role of our emotions. In fact, a couple of weeks ago, Dr. Eric and also Darlena, they did an amazing training on emotions and how emotional trauma can actually contribute to our poor health. Blood types is another factor in determining longevity because you have to eat according to your blood type or you can cause your health to actually go down faster. In fact, even when it comes to COVID, one of the things that was floating around the news, they talked about if you catch COVID, blood type O's actually responded better to COVID. Now in our community, because we were such heavy animal consumers, we actually had even a bad response for those who were even type O blood. But just know that there's a lot of clues within your blood, and it's important that you understand what you should be eating so that you can navigate a lot of what's happening here in our society. And then of course we know the importance of exercise and diet. Those are vital to long health and longevity, okay? So our emotions, emotional trauma can affect you in so many ways. And oftentimes it's not what you're thinking because sometimes you can be very positive, consciously, you can say that you're a happy person. But sometimes we've been through things that's left us with subconscious emotional trauma that's robbing you of your health. And so we've got to get to the root of that if we're going to live our best life. It's so important that now more than ever, we also look at the role of meditation and exercise. So critical to our longevity. It's important that we analyze and look at our blood types. That's so critical. In fact, we're going to analyze that tonight. In fact, if you've never ever taken your blood type? If you don't know your blood type, if you tried to call the doctor and they don't have your blood type, well, here's the good news. If you're here in Chicago, you can set up an appointment with us by sending an email in. And once you set that appointment up, we're actually testing blood types to the end of the year, actually free. So you don't have to pay for your kit. You can come in here and we'll do that for you. But if you want to go and get your own kit, you can go right to Amazon and you can purchase a kit for as little as $8 or $9. And you can take your own test at home and learn your blood type. So make sure you take a picture of this, because once you know your blood type, you're gonna wanna share this with your mom, your sisters, your brother, and certainly you wanna share this with your kids, okay? And so when it comes to inflammation, we all have heard that it is the silent killer. It's that fire within. In fact, when we do the scan, it's so powerful, because with that scan, in a matter of seconds, we're able to see if your cells are normal, if they're slightly abnormal, if they're moderately abnormal, if they're severely abnormal. And starting this week, our scan appointments will be held in 15-minute increments. And those 15-minute increments are completely free. That means as many people as we can schedule in, we'll give you a 15-minute scan for free. It takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of effort for our doctors to do what they do. And so for those who want to actually have further consultations, if you want nutritional plans that are custom to you, the good news is on your very website, you're gonna have the option of doing some of those advanced nutritional programs so that you can get the coaching and the support that you need to transform your life and take it to the next level. Now, we pray that when you take your scan, the majority of the areas, if not all the areas, are green, but we recognize that unfortunately we've been eating against our blood type. And what we're seeing is more and more people are going into the yellow zone. More and more people, even people in their 20s, are going into the red zone. Now, we know the yellow means caution. It means you're headed in the wrong direction. But we know that when it comes to red, it means you have to make an immediate decision to stop what you're doing and turn into a new direction, because it is that last warning sign that you really need to take control of your life. And so going plant-based for your blood type, for those of you who've been worried that perhaps it's going to be a diet of restriction and maybe you're not going to enjoy it, I'm here to also share the good news. We've actually prepared some amazing recipes. And one of the things we've also done, because we recognize that people are at different levels. Some of you are ready to jump all in, and some of you just need to have some better instructions so that you can actually just make some better and more positive changes, okay? So we've actually prepared recipes for phase 3, but we've also prepared recipes for phase 1 and 2. And in phase 1, for those of you who just aren't quite there yet, the good news is there are some meat options for you. For those of you who do phase 2, it's entirely plant-based. In phase 3, it's all plant-based, and it's really designed more for your cleanse, okay? And so let's just look at some of the recipes that we've designed for phase 2. And that's for those who are going plant-based, okay? And so again, we want everything to be colorful, because we know it's important that if you're gonna get all your nutrients, you have to eat the rainbow. You have to eat a variety of fruit and vegetables. But for those of you who just have to have those savory dishes, who just can't imagine life without meat and cheese, well, there's some delicious vegan cheese options, okay? There's Ezekiel bread that's actually neutral for all blood types, okay? And so we prepared some delicious meals for those of you who want to do plant-based, but you want to make sure you have something there that you can go to for those cravings, okay? But we also wanted to make sure that all of these recipes were packed with nutrients, so that you're going to see a lot of spinach, a lot of kale, a lot of arugula, just seeing all those nutrients, knowing that your cells are going to truly get nourished. In fact, the good news, if you like to have your starches, if you're in phase 2, you can actually have some basmati rice, some black beans, depending on your blood type. If you're a type B blood, you cannot have black beans or pinto beans. Those are not good for the type B bloods. But again, inside of our book, you're going to learn exactly what you should eat so that you can know exactly how to navigate it for your blood type. Now, here's the good news, when in going to my grandmother's for Thanksgiving, every year since I was a child, right? One thing we would always have was collard greens, okay? Well, collard greens are neutral for every blood type, so we know that grandma knew what she was doing. In fact, turkey is neutral for every blood type. cranberry, and actually cherries. And so one of my new indulgences is cherry juice. I do the unsweetened, so it's a little bit tart, but it's super, super good for every blood type, okay? In fact, this is a broccoli soup. In fact, broccoli and kale, in fact, even red onions, right? Raw onions are good for every blood type. And so what we've tried to do is put together as many recipes that are neutral for every blood type. Mushroom soup. This is a dish you can actually prepare without cooking it. So for those of you who are on phase 3, the good news is there are some soups that you're going to be able to have and still get through your 21 days, but of course you can't cook those, okay? Of course, there's some great meals for those in phase 2, like our asparagus and mushroom tacos. These absolutely taste delicious. Depending on your blood type, you can have an almond flour tortilla. For those of you who can do cassava, there's some delicious cassava tortillas. And then of course we have some amazing bean tacos with some vegan sour cream, okay? And so yes, you can still do life. In fact, there's even some pizzas that you can have. In fact, I had some pizza this weekend that was so delicious, completely vegan. Even my husband loved it, and he's a strong meat eater, okay? But we want to remind you to incorporate the fresh fruit, the fresh vegetables, the steamed broccoli. Broccoli is very beneficial for all of our blood types. So it's something we really need to make sure we make as a staple. If you're not having broccoli and kale, those cruciferous vegetables, make sure you incorporate more of these, because these help fight against breast cancer tumors, prostate tumors, right? So we have to learn, what foods can really help promote healing and restoration. Now, when it comes to blood typing, one of the things that I used to love was a banana in my smoothie. Well, I learned as a type A blood that I'm really not supposed to have bananas, okay? Now, the good news, if you're type O or type B, you can have your bananas. If you're AB, guess what? No bananas for you either, but no worries. For those who are type A, you can actually put an avocado inside of your smoothie. And if you're AB, you better stick with something like flax seeds, okay? And so again, we're gonna navigate all of this inside of our ebook so that you learn exactly what to eat. There's some great dessert options, because I know many people have a sweet tooth, right? We love to eat, great foods. We love to have something sweet. And so we do use special things like agave or sometimes monk fruit, depending on your blood type. So there's different, desserts that you can have as well. And so here's one of my favorites, chocolates, strawberries, and whipped cream. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that, but this is all vegan, okay? Everything that I'm showing you, it's a vegan option with no dairy, no animal products at all. And so now what we want to do, since you've had a chance to look at some of the recipes, understanding your blood type, understanding which foods you should eat is really not just the key for your survival, but it's the key for us to break some of these generational curses, right? It's the key for us to really pass on the right information to the next generation. In fact, what we eat and what we drink, your body's going to respond to that as either a friend or an enemy. One man's food can be another man's poison. And if you're a blood type A blood type B, blood type O, or AB, in some families, all 4 different blood types are represented. But sometimes all families are eating the exact same diet. And then we wonder why is it for that particular family member that's suffering the most? Just to give you an example, in my family, everyone was either a B or an O. I was the A in the family, okay? And being the A in the family, guess what happened? I suffered the consequences more dramatically than anyone else. My family ate a lot of animal meat, whether it was pork, whether it was beef or fried chicken, I would eat that animal meat. By the time I was 19 years old, it almost killed me. I was in an emergency situation, having an emergency surgery, and the doctor told my grandmother that I had a 50% chance of living or dying. At that time, they never told me that it was my blood type that was not responding well to animal meat. So guess what happened? For decades later, I continued to have a lot of animal meat. And unfortunately, I almost died again right before I turned 40 years old. So twice before the age of 40, almost losing my life because I didn't know my blood type and how foods were affecting me. My son's a type O, so he could tolerate those meats much better than I am. And my mom's a type O as well. I was the A in the middle, and it was based on my dad who wasn't living with us. So they were preparing food for all the O's and B's, not knowing that I was the type A who could not tolerate that animal consumption. And see what happens when we eat food, you know, a chemical reaction is going to occur between the food and your blood. And it's going to release a type of protein called lectins, okay? And these affect your blood. And here's the danger of incompatible lectins. When you eat a food containing protein lectins that are incompatible with your blood, do you know that these lectins target an organ or bodily systems like your kidneys, your liver, your brain, your stomach, and they begin to accumulate in that area, attacking it. In fact, it becomes like foreign invaders. See, these lectins settle and clump together. And once this happens, your immune system targets them as if they are foreign invaders. And the danger of that, it puts our body in a constant state of overreacting. When you think about the consequences we suffered from COVID, it's because our body was what we were so used to being in a state of overreacting. When COVID hit us, we overreacted to that as well. And so we have to prepare our body by putting it in balance. When Kathy talked about CBD, what I love about CBD, calms the body down. It helps to put the body back in balance. And that's what we need more than ever, because uncontrolled, it creates violent levels of inflammation. This causes irritable bowel syndrome, cirrhosis of the liver. It can block the flow of blood through the kidneys. But now that we've heard the bad news, it's time to share the good news. I know that you're probably like me, you want to live your best possible life. Well, how is it that we can live our best possible life if we don't have the answers, right? So for the first time, many of us, you know, have gotten the answers that we've been seeking. So now truly we can live the best possible life. See, your chronological age is the number of years you've been alive, but your biological age is based on a number of factors, including your diet, your lifestyle, exercise, and chromosomes. And so do you know that by making simple dietary changes, adopting small alterations in your current lifestyle, your sleep schedule, taking probiotics, exercising, see, all of this can help reduce your biological age by 3 years in just 8 weeks. How exciting is that? In fact, these are examples of people who are the exact same age, but your daily choices will determine how your future will unfold. And we can all agree that when we hit now Ernestine Shepherd, I believe she's like 85 years old. She's in the Guinness Book of World Record for being the oldest female bodybuilder in the world. I mean, how exciting is that? In fact, this is another young lady who's 76 years young. In fact, now she's probably 77, 78. But look at, I mean, she looks like someone in her 30s or 40s. I mean, how are they doing that? By eating living food. You know, we have a living body, and our living bodies need living food. And so with our Flat Belly Lifestyle 2.0, it's all about food based on your blood type. In fact, we do it in 3 phases. Phase 1 is where we're plant focused, but we do allow you to have that animal consumption. If you just can't get rid of it during the first phase, by the time you're finished with that, you're gonna wanna go to the next level. Phase 2 is where we're plant-based completely, and phase 3 is raw plant-based. It's a 21-day intensive detox, and then you can go back to phase 2. So you're not living in phase 3 forever unless you choose to, because some people do raw food forever. That's a choice, okay? So we provide you with a grocery list. And inside of this grocery list, it's gonna provide you with all the secrets that you need, but we also wanted to give you tools. And so if you're committing to phase 1 or 2, we're giving you a toolbox, okay? And that toolbox is your Flat Belly Bitters. It's a 4-day detox for those of you who might be constipated. You know, you're having trouble, you know, just using the bathroom. It's gonna be an intense detox to really help you eliminate. Then we have our Flat Belly Coffee that's gonna help you burn fat. It's gonna boost your metabolism. It's gonna give you energy. And then we have our Flat Belly Gummies, okay? They're gonna help curb your appetite. And so these 3 products are great for those of you who are in phase 1 are in phase 2, and we have a flat belly bundle available right online. And so this is our original products, but the grocery list has changed because now the grocery list is a part of Flat Belly Lifestyle 2.0. And so here's the new grocery list, okay? The grocery list is great because it's neutral for every blood type. So regardless of if you're blood type O, blood type A, B, or AB, it's neutral for every single blood type if it's in black. So look for all the food that's in black, okay? If you see the red area, it's gonna give you a warning and tell you, hey, if you're type O, you should avoid this. Hey, if you're type B, you should avoid this. And then it's gonna let you know how each one of those phases work and operate. So now take a quick look at that because we're gonna show you all the proteins, we're gonna show you all the vegetables, all the fruit. We're gonna give you the full list of everything you need, your beans, your nuts, your seeds, your oils, okay? We're gonna give you the tools and equip you so that you can navigate this and get back to your best shape of your life, okay? And so we even show you, for those of you who can't give up dairy, we hope that you do, because dairy for most of our blood is not good. If you're B, you tolerate a little better, okay? But none of us need our dairy, especially our type O's. Type O's tend to do very poorly on dairy and on high carbs, okay? So all of that is gonna outline for you right inside of our book. And so let's say now you're ready for phase 3, okay? Phase 3 has a different list, okay? This is a personalized list that you're gonna get for everyone who ordered our Flat Belly Cleanse. In fact, Dr. Eric has given us some top picks to give you some general guidelines for those of you who are in phase 3. Number 1, it's your raw food for maximum healing. Number 2, it's your raw nutritional juices. And then of course, with every phase, you wanna go non-GMO and you wanna choose organic, okay? And so this is our Flat Belly Cleanse. And that again is designed for anyone who's ready to go into phase 3. And so if you're ready to go into phase 3, there are 3 amazing products that we have collaborated with Dr. Eric to bring to the world. So this is Dr. Eric's exclusive proprietary formula that we now have here at Wakana. So we are super excited about that. We have our step 1, which is going to help eliminate those parasites and mucus. And we're going to let Dr. Eric talk about the parasites and mucus that are living within many of us. Many people on their skin had trouble really absorbing nutrients because they were full of mucus and parasites. And so we want to evict and eliminate those parasites, right? Phase 2 is really where we cleanse with our liquid colonic. It's really the purifier. It's going to purify the body. And then our step 3 is going to really help the body regenerate by giving you those superfoods, okay? And so this is amazing because we now have this on our website, okay? And it's under the Flat Belly Cleanse. And so here's your 4 steps in closing for my segment before I bring up Dr. Eric. Number 1, make sure you go to flatbellylifestyle.com and register, okay? Register for the pledge. Pledge to go plant-based for your blood type, okay? We want to commit to doing that for at least this first phase. And then step 2, you want to download our new grocery list. Step 3, you want to take your blood test, okay? You want to know your blood type. And then number 4, you want to order your products. In fact, you can order your products as soon as tonight. And with that being said, I want to leave you with our mission and our vision for this plant-based program. Our goal is to do 1 million blood tests, right? We want 1 million people to know their blood type so that we can give them the warning of why we're experiencing the consequences of our eating here in this country so severely. And then we want at least 144,000 to join us. In fact, that's our new number based on Eric. It's a biblical number. And so we want 144,000 people to join us. And then we're going to help conduct and facilitate at least 10,000 scans over the next 18 months. For those of you, again, who might not be ready to go into phase 3, we will kick off a group challenge on January the 2nd, where we're looking for as many people to go with us on a 21-day raw intense program at the beginning.